Hello, dear sister. Today's video blog is going to answer some questions that a couple of people have had after reading my book, what all spirit babies want their mamas to know. For those who've left your feedback on my Spirit Baby book page, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And thank you for all the kind words about my book. It's just such a joy to know that it is being received in the vibration that it was written. Really, it's such a joy to read your responses, so thank you. Um, I'm just going to answer a couple questions really quickly just to help clarify. The first one is about karma. Someone asked, I just don't get the karma thing. Does it mean that I did something bad in a past life? And I mentioned that very briefly in my book, that it doesn't mean we did anything wrong or we did anything bad. No one's really judging us, It's not like, okay, I did something really bad and so something bad's going to happen to me in the next life. It's not really like that. You're not suffering a loss or having bad things happen to you, a C-section or miscarriage, or it's not taking you so long to conceive because you did something bad in a past life. It's not like that at all. But the bottom line is, if we're here on Earth right now as adults, there is karma to clear. It's just sort of weights and measures. So I have to take the judgment out of that, good or bad, positive or negative. But, the truly evolved soul, the whole soul, is one that has had all their experiences. But then karma also has is what has kept us in this loop of reincarnation. So it's sort of a trap, if you ask me. I knew coming in this time, this is my last incarnation. I just knew it. I knew it. Even before I knew everything that I knew now, I knew that this is my last incarnation on this plane, in this 3D plane. And for many of us, that's true. We are clearing karma now. So that doesn't mean that we're not going to come back to Earth, but it means we're not going to come back to Earth as a 3D person who's stuck in this karmic loop. So when I speak of karma, it doesn't mean that you're being punished for things you did in a bad life. It means energy is being cleared, energy that is limiting you, energy that has kept you in doubt or in fear. Karma is just, it's a repetitive cycle. It's a weights and measure, and that time is over now. So when I talk about karma, I just want to be very clear. It's not because we did anything wrong. It's just a clearing of energy that we all have, except for the kids coming in right now, the very high vibrational kids, which brings me to another question someone had. So I talk about how all the kids coming in now are not just a stair step higher like we are. Every generation there's a stair step higher in vibration. The kids coming in now are a huge quantum leap above us. And the question is, are all the kids coming in now a quantum leap above us, or only for the second wave? So, in my book I talk about how I'm a forerunner, how I'm doing all this spiritual stuff and doing all the karmic clearing and paving this path first. That's a forerunner. And then I think I talk a lot about the second wave coming in, but there's other waves too. So the question was, are only the kids coming in a quantum leap higher for the second wave? And the answer is the kids coming in now, for those that are on the spiritual path, no matter what wave you're on, are all a quantum leap higher. And again, that just means they're coming in with more wholeness, more remembrance of home. They're not coming in with the limits that we have had imposed on us, and it's our job not to impose those limits on them. When we try to do that, and I do talk about this more in my book, and I'm going to talk about it a lot more in my next book, but let's not talk about that right now. It can be very contentious having a high vibrational child if we are holding on to our limits and trying to stuff them into a box that doesn't even fit us anymore. Our kids are our greatest teachers, and I learned pretty quick that if I am bumping up against my kids, trying to force them to do something, and they're adamant that they're not supposed to do it, I have to relook at my beliefs and my thought patterns. Well, why am I making them do it? is this belief I have that they have to do this certain thing based on a fear, based on a limitation, based on a doubt? Am I trying to conform them into what I was told I need to be conformed into? So look at the ways that your child is pushing up against you, and just take those voices out of your head and really, really listen to your kid. Really, really listen to your kid. I've heard so many instances of these very high vibrational kids busting down limits by being troublemakers in school, and maybe they're saying, you know what, school is just not the best environment for me. Frankly, school is not the best environment for many the way school is right now, and that's one of the things that's going to be changing radically in the next 5 to 10 years. I don't think it's even going to take 10 years. In the next 5 years, school is going to look very, very different. And if the kids are having trouble in school, I venture to say it's a problem because of the school and the school system and the educational system. The ADHD, I don't want to get into all that, but that's kids saying, you know what, it doesn't feel right for me to sit here and listen to this shit that doesn't apply to me whatsoever. I'm not going to get all into that, but really look at the places that your child is pushing you and think, is this a limit that I should let go? Is this a boundary that doesn't need to be there anymore? If we really, really listen to our children, they will tell us where we're still holding the limits, and they'll help us break through. And the higher vibration we are, the more we listen to them. They really, really need to be listened to. They have so much wisdom. The better our relationship can be more of a partnership. I listen to my kids so intently. I might guide them, but they really teach me. They really do. So yes, all the kids coming in right now, to those that are on the spiritual path, are a quantum leap higher than us. No matter if you're a forerunner or a second waver or a third waver, it doesn't matter. All the kids coming in. If you're watching this, they come in more whole. They know. Listen to them. Listen to them. Okay, and one more question I wanted to get to about repeat experiences. I can't remember which section I talked about in my book. It's throughout, but we don't have to repeat experiences once we learn from them. And this person was wondering, well, I had a C-section, and then I really learned from that, and I tried to grow from that, and I wanted a VBAC, but then I had another C-section, and why did I have to repeat that? If but listening to the whole story, it wasn't a repeat, and this part might take a little while to explain, because it's really important to understand, especially when it comes to the birthing process. It's so easy for someone to have a traumatic birth, especially a C-section the first time, and just think they've failed. And what a horrible feeling. And I talk about this more in my book, Healing Your Traumatic Birth Experience. It's one of my favorite sections in that book. So if you've had a traumatic birth, look at that section. And then also getting ready for your empowered birth. So a lot of people think, okay, I had a C-section, I failed, and next time I have to go for a VBAC. And I've seen this happen so many times. And so the person gets set on a VBAC, and then they end up having another C-section, and then they think they failed again. And oh, what a horrible loop to get in. The method of giving birth is not the part that needs to change. It's the mindset up here. And I talk about this extensively in the section Getting Ready for Your Empowered Birth. You can have an empowered C-section. You absolutely can have an empowered C-section. This woman in particular who asked the question, she had a traumatic C-section the first time, and then she actually had a very healing C-section. So it's not the same thing. They're two very different experiences. Just because it wasn't a VBAC doesn't mean it wasn't a tremendous success. And that had to be the stair step that she had to take. First it was a traumatic C-section, and then it was a healing C-section. And if she has another birth, perhaps that will be either a VBAC or another healing, empowered C-section. So again, it's not the method. So it's so easy for women to get trapped into, I had a horrible C-section and now I have to have a VBAC, which is a vaginal birth after a C-section. And it's so easy to think that that is the only way you can heal. And that's a trap yourself. You're still resisting the C-section. We can't resist the C-section. We can heal the C-section, which is what this woman did. So if you're watching, congratulations. You had a healing C-section. You had a beautiful C-section. You had success. This was exactly the experience you were meant to have. And it was different. Just because they were two C-sections does not mean it was the same. They were very different. And so it's important not to get too attached to a certain way of giving birth, but to embrace all ways as being perfect and appropriate. In the future, I really don't think there will be C-sections. I really don't. But right now, during this transition, C-sections still have their place. I've even heard that some children choose to be born through C-section because it's a gentler birth, and some children actually need that. What a great thing to understand, you know? You had a C-section maybe because that's what your child needed. So anyway, don't get so attached on the way you're going to have birth. And I do talk about this a lot in my book. Focus on the feelings you want from the birth. You want to feel connected to your baby. You want to feel empowered, those sorts of things. And embrace any method as being absolutely okay and what's supposed to happen. So anyway, those are some of the questions. If you have more, I will do more video blogs like this. But I really think that probably anything that you might wonder is either in my book or in your own brain. You know exactly what's going on up there. So anyway, until next time, keep rocking it.